Welcome back to Conversation by IYC. Today, I'm speaking with Captain Nick Smith of one of the most successful charter yachts operating in the West Mediterranean, CBI Navi-built ELENI 50-meter. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you.
She is quite remarkably almost fully booked for this summer already, with bookings extending into 2027, which in this industry says a lot on its own. But what's more interesting is why. Because success like that doesn't come from just one good season. It comes from consistency, repeat guests, and an experience that people actively plan years in advance to relive. So Nick, you're running one of the most successful 50-meter charter yachts in the West Med. What does success actually mean to you?
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me. And look, I would say success is measured by all the stakeholders that are involved. Everyone from obviously the charter guests is the priority. That's the direct reflection of our level of success, but also by consistently performing and maintaining that success. We can have a great season, but already we've had a decade of fantastic seasons, and every year we get better and the crew get better, and the return for the owner improves, and the return for the crew improves as well in terms of tips and things like that. So I think success is measured very subjectively, but for us is consistency and consistently improving. Maintaining crew as well is also super important. Right. So it's many different ways to measure it, but the proof is in the pudding.
And with the yacht already heavily booked for summer and well into 2027, what do you think guests are actually responding to most? Is it the yacht itself, or as you've mentioned, the consistency of the experience?
The yacht obviously contributes to getting the guests to book their charter, and that provides all the amazing facilities, everything we had. But when it comes down to it, the atmosphere that we create between the crew and the guests is vital for them to have a great time, to create those memories. So you can have, fantastic yachts in amazing locations, but if you don't have that atmosphere being set by the crew and that level of service, then you don't have a successful charter yacht.
And you've captained in places like the Arctic, the Galapagos, South Pacific. How does the West Med compare in terms of delivering a world-class charter experience?
I have been incredibly fortunate. I started out as a diver on the Great Barrier Reef. I had dive schools in Australia and Fiji, and then that naturally transitioned into a role on expedition yachts. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate to go to the most amazing locations on the planet. However, for the last 10 years, probably a bit more, I've been a charter captain in the Mediterranean. And as far as bang for your buck and like diversity of locations go, you cannot beat it.
Yeah.
You could start you can have one amazing day here in the south of France, and the guests can go off to their cabins and wake up in Italy with a completely full language, completely different culture, cuisine, and no one can compare to that. So you have to travel a long way to find something that really compares to the Mediterranean.
And when guests are stepping off board, do you think they're remembering the places they've been or the experience they've had on the yacht, or is it quite 50-50? How do those balance out?
With the risk of sounding like a bit of a hippie, it's the vibe. It's the atmosphere that's created on board. And so, look, we can take them to these amazing locations. That all contributes to it. But again, it's the interaction between the crew and the guests, the effort that we put into specific nights, like theme nights, things like that. Having these amazing experiences where you got 25 people singing at like karaoke, and these kind of the things that happen over time, they're the unforgettable moments. They're not just buying a t-shirt and taking a photo at Capri. They are the times that bring their families and friends together, and we had an absolute blast with all the crew. So I'd say yes, they're the feeling.
So walk me through a day on board.
Well, that's a very broad question. Every client is different. Every guest is different. So we have some people that are, I guess the point is that we have to adapt to what every client needs. And so it's hard to sort of nail down something in particular, but given what we are, 50-meter vessel, it's a 24-hour day. Our day starts at midnight, essentially. It doesn't matter where you stick the pen to start the day, but we start at midnight. We have teams working throughout the night. If we're at anchor, there's people doing anchor watches and washing down the boat. maybe the guests are partying into the wee hours, and so we have a lot more people attending to them. Perhaps we're moving the boat as well, so all the deck officers and engineering officers are taking the boat to the next amazing place. So yeah, the day pretty much, it just revolves one into the other. And so from sort of sunrise, you've got the chef who makes the most amazing breads, and he takes a lot of pride in that. That he will start from before sunrise, and once that smell of that permeates through the boat, the smell of the coffee from the stewardess starting, and then you have the table that's set up. And so once the guests start to come up out of their cabins and they sort of get this incredible view, if I've done my job, hopefully they're at a good location as well. So it sort of starts, or it runs 24 hours, but then we start that first thing in the morning. And then depending upon what the plan is for the day, a lot of it revolves around meals and sort of the dining experiences that we can share with them, whether that's ashore on the boat, but generally people like to book a lot of restaurants. Then after the first couple of meals, they end up eating off board most of the time. So a lot of revolves around that. And then we will, if we're taking somewhere, I'll try to find a nice natural location where there's all the toys in the water. We've got slides, jet skis, all the toys. And so that tends to take up most of the day in the afternoon. And then I often like to balance a trip between being in places where there's lots of culture and things happening ashore, like the Amalfi, but then also getting away from shore, like down the Aeolian Islands, and places where you've got less boats, cleaner water. And so it just depends. Every trip is different. Yeah. So some people may want to sit in Monaco for the whole time. Other people want to, travel the length of the Adriatic. And so we could be starting in Corfu and finishing up in Venice. So I would say that importantly, we just adapt to whatever the guests want. And the interaction is dictated by them, and the things that we do is dictated by them.
Is there a moment, or maybe there's been a clear moment that you remember where you've gone, okay, yes, this client will rebook. I just know that as you've put it, we've vibed.
Oh, they tell me.
Yeah?
They tell me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, not everyone, but look, we have a lot of US clients, and they are very good at just verbalizing everything. So they will tell us if we're doing a great job. They'll tell us if we're not doing such a good job. But for the most part, they're super appreciative, and they will tell us. And so I wouldn't say there's a particular point, but we do have certain days that stick out in my memory where I know, okay, like we nailed it today, and then depending upon what the guests were after, whether they wanted to go on a historical tour of Pompeii or climb a mountain or go to an amazing restaurant or just hang out on the boat. But I know there's some days in the trip where I go, yeah, we've done it today. It's good weather. We're in the right location. Yeah. And we do get people that may not book us the next year. Then they come back a year later and say, hey, shouldn't have booked that other boat last year, which is a good response. It's a good response.
Are there non-negotiables in the way that you manage your crew?
That's a really good question. I'm fortunate in the fact that we've had a lot of long-serving crew on here. And so I'm 10 years. A lot of our heads of department are up around my time, or at least minimum 5 years. And that provides the ability to create a culture as opposed to me micromanaging everybody, which is really common on yachts. Certainly was a bugbear of mine for many years as I climbed the ranks of being micromanaged all the time. Once I know the caliber of the crew that we have, and they get almost complete agency of how they interact with the guests, but because we have that culture, and it could be like little details of every now and then I might have to remind people that when you meet the guest, don't have your sunglasses on, or just eye contact, or little things like that. But for the most part, I don't have to get involved. I don't get involved, and so that makes my job easier. But that takes time.
When you're getting the preference sheets, and maybe your charter manager has started telling you a bit about the group that's coming on board, how much of it is you guys coming as a team and actually maybe, let's call it, designing what that guest experience will be on board versus that actually happening naturally with, the group configuration coming on board?
Well, the other thing about having consistency, a long-standing crew, is we've also had a consistent relationship with IYC. And Anna has been involved with us for 9 years. And so her and I generally don't have to discuss things as much because we know how it's going to run. So from the moment we sort of, I think the initial reaction is super important, that if we've got someone that's thinking about booking ELENI, that I am really responsive, like quick to respond, and go overboard in terms of what that potential client is going to need. And that really helps in getting this over the line. So look, the ongoing relationship that we have with IYC has been integral to our success. And then, also because there's a lot of filtering that goes on as well, as like certain clients that we maybe don't want, or, we can sort of, it's not our first rodeo, so to speak. And so we work very closely with IYC to make that happen. And it makes it easy because we've had the same relationship a long time.
And if someone's listening to this now and they're considering chartering ELENI in the West Med for the first time, what would make her the right fit for them, and what do you think would genuinely surprise them once they step on board?
I think, look, everyone has different expectations. And I'd say that what we're really good at is not just anticipating people's needs, but also just working out how to interact with people. Some people are like, they prefer us to be more standoffish, just the white glove treatment, and not really engage too much, and we can do that. But at the other end of the spectrum, we can also create fantastic relationships with these people and create amazing events and things like that. So I think we're just really good at reading the client, and that starts from an early stage with the central agent and the booking process, getting feedback from the broker. But I would say that you look, a boat is a boat is a boat, but we've proven time and time again that we can just give people unforgettable experiences. We have unique experiences. We get involved with a lot of music on board. We do all kinds of things. And so I would say that, look, give it a try. And we've had very few complaints, that's for sure.
Love it. So, Captain, I have 5 quick fire questions for you. Do not overthink them. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Sunrise or sunset at anchor?
Sunset.
Salt on your skin or sun on your face?
Salt on my skin.
Warm Mediterranean breeze or Caribbean trade winds?
Warm Mediterranean breeze.
Engines off or cruising at full speed?
Engines off.
And finally, a destination that you'll never tire of.
Oh, wow. There are a lot. There are a lot. I couldn't say like one destination uniquely. I could say certain charters that I've done, which have been my favorite. And I would say one of the charters I did last year, I did the length of the Adriatic from Corfu via Albania, Montenegro, the whole archipelago of Croatia, into Slovenia, Trieste, and then finished up in Venice. And that for me, with these amazing guests that we had, that was probably one of the best charters I've ever done. And the diversity of location, it was just a magical trip. And so I couldn't say one place in particular with any conviction, because the Mediterranean has so much to offer.
Perfect. Lovely, Captain.
My pleasure. Thank you.